Alright, so let's see Nick Fury in action and see what the differences are. I love that the initial jingle, not jingle, but initial, thing that gets said is say your prayers. So anyway, I'm gonna show the first stage only in terms of gameplay. Otherwise, I will show the game over screen and the difference of the dialogues.
So what's Nick
Okay.
Fury's involvement in this happy little narrative?
It just happens to be here at the same time.
And I guess he figures...
Roll out the noise, Fury!
Same old trick, dirty tricks, Bruno.
Yeah, apparently Nick Fury is actually hunting down Bruno Costa. Don't ask me why.
And yes, everybody, before he got reinvented as an homage to Samuel L. Jackson in the comics, this is how Nick Fury used to look like.
And he smoked that cigar all the time.
Remember when David Hasselhoff was the man? Also, I didn't get to
David
say this...
Hasselhoff as Nick Fury.
Yes, that happened.
That would, if he were playing this Nick Fury, I can see it.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yes, Jova?
You know, I didn't get to say it last time, and... Shoot. Now that he's off screen, can't really, but that one look that looks like Ryu.
Yeah. I'll leave it to your tender
Sorry.
care.
Yeah, sorry, it's all over Bruno. Yeah,
I have the high ground. But yeah, like you said, Fury works pretty much as a Shoto clone of the Punisher. You know, it just happens to have slightly different looking animations for the roundabout attack, like the lariat. You know, in this case, in case of Fury, he actually like whips out his belt and rotates around instead of actually having a roundhouse kick like the Punisher. Again, don't ask me why. I guess they just felt quirky in animating that.
Fascinating.
I also dig the fact that they actually bother to make sure that the sprite considers the eye patch depending on the position instead of just mirroring it.
That actually is a step ahead compared to what most games of the time would do.
Including fighting games.
Yeah.
Where's Bruno's hideout?
Well, talk. He's at Castle Ponta Verde in Florida.
Thanks, and pleasant dreams.
So yeah, Nick Fury
Yeah.
actually knocks him out instead of killing him.
That
Well,
makes sense.
That's so Bruno doesn't go for midnight swims.
Oh yeah, in the pipes of the yeah. Sure.
Yes, I'm sure he goes into midnight swims in the fucking sewers.
Well, technically this is a pipe leading to the pool.
Alright, you're dead, Ben Fury.
Can't you think of something better than that?
Ah!
That's your best one-liner, really? What in Sam Hill, Bruno? What?
Ga. By the order of Kingpin, you are to be terminated.
Kingpin, you're going down this time, Fisk.
Oh,
Wait,
you're
am I
gonna
calling
call
you?
him?
Wait, am I calling you Kingpin or Fisk? There doesn't seem to be any consistency.
Yes.
The information I got on the Harbor drug deal checks out. I can go in there and knock them on their butts before they can paddle their poison.
Alright, let's see what the game over looks like. If I recall correctly, there is a variation which has Dum Dum Dugan, but I did not manage to trigger it. I don't remember the name of the lady on the right, but she's not Maria Hill. This was before she
Wait,
was officially...
so you were
introduced in the
revived and
comic.
your first thing is to smoke?
Yes.
That's Nick Fury for you. He perennially, has that cigar in his mouth.
But don't you? Yeah, classic Nick Fury before the Samuel L. Jackson reinvention lives what's it called? But don't you see, Dwebs, how cool this makes me look?
I mean, if it was Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, he would smoke that cigar constantly as well. But
Oh, yeah.
post the Joe Camel era, we cannot show people smoking to kids.
I think one of the few characters who's still allowed to smoke because it looks cool is Wolverine, and because he's got that healing factor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't smoke unless you have a healing factor, kids.
My info says that the Kingpin's got a huge poppy field complete with mobile processing factory underground in Arizona. Humble spice dealer. How pretty potent spice? What does that mean?
He had the spice.
Sarcastic. You look chill. Let me warm you up.
Ha. Okay. The punctuation and phrasing there could have been better.
Yep. Classic typos. Go on, Drogo.
Blast you, Fury! You've just signed your death warrant.
I smell a rat nearby.
Also, Spoof Fisk. Like, you're gonna... I found you, Fury! No, have your hand. Spoof Fury, you're gonna go against the, shield just because Fury decided to port your smuggling operation on poppy fields. Right.
Clearly, Wilson Fisk was getting too
Come on,
confident.
Fisk. Let's put an end to this. So I can grab a good cigar and a little R&R.
So's.
Okay.
Sausage.
So this is where Fisk and I will have our final battle. You know what? Maybe I should just use the bazooka.
Oh,
Just
better
shoot it.
make it quick.
Why better make it quick?
Why are
I
they
have a date
using-
with Kate tonight.
Oh, wait, maybe
Don't
Kate-
lie.
Did Kate just... Sorry.
Mr. Fury, you have annoyed me long enough.
Slow down. Smile once in a while. You'll live longer. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
He just told him, you should smile more.
So,
Don't be
interestingly enough...
smiling now.
Hold on.
Good night, fat boy.
Yes, but interestingly enough, if you play only as Nick Fury, the Punisher doesn't even show up.
Huh.
This is the Nick Fury show, completely through.
So I love how Nick Fury basically went full Vicky Vale. I have a date with Kate. How cool is
Who's
that?
that?
As the Kingpin says this final
Again,
defeat
this
of
is
Sorry.
it's the same ending scroll. I only kept it because there's a minor variation at the end, but I will mention. But no, again,
Until there is no
Sorry, go on,
Evel left.
Evel again, all the classic arcade typos lives, but no, that was again, it's the punctuation, but just it's the cherry on top, basically.
Beautiful, is it not?
Yeah, there you go. Next morning, the police centrally rubble the King building, and they found in this case 287 experience notes. Again, the game keeps tally just for the final level, in case you wanted to know. So yeah, now let's check a bit on the extras they included. The cool thing about these collections is that they actually bother to actually include both the entire soundtrack, so you can listen to it. Again, Yoko Shimomura good stuff. Although I would like to mention the name of the track, particularly one of the later ones that I think I want to highlight. Where is it? There you go, Bruno Costa. They did not bother to actually, keep it in the English way.
Anyway, as for who the blonde girl is, that's Kathleen Neville.
Yeah, one of
Okay,
an
Kate.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Anyway, let's check on the gallery, starting with the game's cover art.
Don't
Again,
that
I
look
don't remember.
badass.
I don't remember if it was Akiman who drew this, but still pretty good.
It's got that Street Fighter energy down to a T.
And yet the characters still look comic book accurate. You don't think it's like a manga version of them, but something that someone like an actual Marvel artist will draw.
Yeah, that's something Capcom really were good at, getting down the likeness of the Marvel characters.
I believe so.
Kafroom, say your prayers.
He literally has ammunition bandolier for it as a necklace.
That looks like it was literally ripped
And
from a comic.
whatever that says.
Anyway, yeah, these are the Japanese version. Don't worry, it includes also the English ones. Basically, a manual that teaches the elements and the commands.
Mm-hmm. So which do you prefer to play as? I mean, I know that the differences
Like I
are
said,
minimal.
both of them are functional, so I'm fine with either. Like, I don't really have any particular preference. Gotta love the guard robot, which looks like straight out of Sonic.
Yeah.
You can tell it was actually an original property. And yeah, I think this is actually the cover for the American version, which, as in true tradition, for, different variants, instead looks ugly as shit. There you go. While the controls, like he said, are technically simple, you can perform different maneuvers the way that you input them, a precursor to different fighting game, special moves. There you go. Frank Castle, Marine Captain Vietnam veteran. One day on leave, he went on a picnic in Central Park with his wife and 2 kids. But tragically laying wait for the castles. They witnessed a gangland murder and they were killed for what they saw. Only Frank didn't die. He survived, reborn as the Punisher, a vengeful warrior, waging a bloody one-man war on crime. And there you go. Again, they teach you exactly what they said. Whenever anyone uses a gun, the player pulls out the gun automatically, starts automatically, and ammo is unlimited, so you don't have that kind of tediousness, you know. And depending on how you perform your moves in the controller, you can potentially grab an enemy and move it around. Also, here's some cool stuff. Blueprints for how the animations of the sprites should be handled in the final product. Also, Spider-Man shirt. Don't think I haven't noticed that game.
Remember, he's our mascot. It's in his contract to
and
show up
he's
one way or
and
another.
look, Pedro, just like in the Sonic Japanese manual, we also have concept art showcasing how the character should perform in chibi format.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're more like chibi, but not so much doodles. Because in the Sonic they made flat out kindergarten doodles of the characters.
Love it.
This looks more like.
Still pretty cool, actually.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah.
Yeah, one concept that they wanted to have was to actually push boxes into enemies, but the final result is a bit rough. And here's a planimetry of how to construct one of the levels. Actually, the different. If I remember correctly, this is the sewer one, and this is the there you go, stage 3. Again, it's pretty cool to see like the magic evolving in action. In this case, just blending all the elements, assigning them properly correspondingly. The design of a pretty boy enemy, complete with how the animation should be having with the hands. With more detailed sketches.
You can tell those enemies must have been fun to render.
Well, remember, Jova, the sprite quality for arcade was something that Capcom was excelling at. It was basically their bread and butter by this point, so they probably not have any problems with that.
It makes sense about why,
Gotta love the gangster in the middle, he's like, talk to the finger.
But yeah, no, it's not too surprising that Capcom would extend their sprite work into other genres like platforming and, as you know, with Ace Attorney, the visual novel/adventure style.
There you go, Proctor.
When did Ace Attorney Investigations 2 come out again? 2011?
2011,
I
yeah.
think so.
Or was it 2012? I can't remember.
Breaker.
Pretty sure it was 2011.
G-Card Droid.
In that case, yeah. Capcom kept up the 2D sprite thing up till 2011, and afterwards they pretty much fully transitioned to 3D games, 3D models in all their games.
Go on, Jova.
Very good, Punisher.
That's cute.
The classic. But yeah, February 3rd, 2011 was when Investigations 2 originally introduced itself to the world.
Here's interesting stuff, if you can look at that. Outside of having more variety, in how the enemy look, in terms of also different ethnicities, the ninjas were supposed to look completely different, more similar to the ones in Captain Commando. And apparently the boss of stage 1 was supposed to have pointy ears. Maybe it was supposed to be a scroll. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Food for thought. And yeah, more planimetry of how to segment the animation by literally working with squares.
It's interesting.
Because that's basically how it works on a grid.
It's interesting. The martial artist originally did not look like Ryu, but in the final product, he pretty much looks like an evil version of Ryu.
There you go. More concept about how the stage should probably barring. What?
Okay.
I don't know what that sound effect is supposed to be.
Back in.
And yeah, look at this. This is supposed to be the first stage, but it looks just like a stage from Marvel vs. Capcom. Why wasn't the Punisher in it?
Like, don't tell me they thought he'd be too violent for Marvel vs. Capcom.
No, like I said, when it came to guns, no, Jill Valentine, like Deji said, was already there.
Oh, not even the guns, just that they were afraid that the character itself might be considered too violent.
Jova, they had Blackheart.
Yeah, true. If they had flipping Blackheart in there... Heck, they had, oh god, what's his name?
Boomster.
They had flipping, oh god, Purple Vampire from Darkstalkers. Wait, no.
Oh, no, Jared Doma is not in the Marvel vs. Capcom games until Infinite.
Yeah, my bad. Although, but yeah, still, your point about Blackheart still stands.
Like, if, again, these days the character is largely forgotten outside of the first Ghost Rider movie. But back in the 90s, where it was very prominent, let's just say that the stories it appeared in were not very pretty. And yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, that's technically it for this one. So, final thoughts, James?
Yeah, it looks like fun. Maybe the Punisher is a bit more gung ho than I've seen him before, and very one-linery than I've seen him before. I mean, the one-lines are kind of lame, but no wonder he doesn't do them that often. Than what I've seen, he's terrible at them.
Yeah, I can tell that in the games, even in the comics, he rarely does that, or sometimes it's just for very dry sarcasm.
Oh god, I just tried to think. I mean, the gameplay looks fun. Again, it being a strictly 2D playing, I might struggle with it because I always tend to struggle on these games. But you know, I mean, the music's all right, and although one thing I wanted to ask,
Go on.
how's the console version?
Well, I haven't tried yet, actually, the Genesis version. So I don't know actually how they implemented it. And this version that they implemented is strictly the arcade one. So I can imagine it's much like with all Genesis ports of an arcade game. You know, it's probably relatively faithful enough, even if it looks maybe a slightly downgrade, and the music might be completely different. I'll try to give it a look, on YouTube to see what the footage is. And one thing that I forgot to mention, because you might be wondering, if you play with two players as both Fury and Punisher, you don't really have new lines. You just have both of them happening at the same time. So don't worry, you've seen everything technically.
That's about it for me. Honestly, it looks a lot. It does look fun, even if 2D games aren't really my cup of tea entirely.
Pedro.
It looks good. Again, I like these old school beat 'em ups, so I'm sure that I'll probably would like this one too. It's pretty short, but again, I guess that's fine. The lines are hilarious, so there's that, and it represents the source material well enough, I think. There's not really much more I can say. Again, with these kinds of beat 'em ups is something that just feels like, yeah, it's fine. Like you know exactly what kind of game this is. You're into it or you're not. All right, that's it.
Jova.
Yeah, this seems like a classic 90s beat 'em up Capcom game, essentially. It has, some trappings that obviously were meant for the arcade stuff. Like, it does feel like sometimes enemy attacks can be overwhelming. That said, thankfully, of course, with this home console release, there are updates that make it a lot more bearable to play. In fact, winning is pretty much an inevitability in this version, essentially.
And like I showcased, again, I showcased with a very, mid to almost high difficulty. If you want, you can put it up to 0 and basically steamroll through the entire game with your eyes closed.
That being said, with that in mind, it still seems to be a very fun time still, Normally, if a game weren't good and, you made it a cakewalk, that would just expose it. But I do feel like what we have here is a nice, fun game. It's got the corny lines, it's got that comic book charm. The story is not deep by any means, but it gets the job done, essentially. And hey, you feel like you've definitely accomplished something by the end of the game, as you should. It's a classic. Play it.
All right, I'll conclude. No, like I said, I've been pretty satisfied with this one. This collection as a whole, contains almost everything that one needs from the Capcom Marvel catalog. I really wish the X-Men Mutant Apocalypse beat 'em up was included in this, because it's really the only one major Marvel game that is left out of this, and I don't really understand why. They might as well just put it for the sake of not having it the one odd out. But alas, what can you do about it? Again, this one is fun and very generous for being an arcade being developed. Like I said, in terms of using continues, it will be the equivalent of having me spending $2.50 at most. Which for a beat 'em up that you actually properly finish, yeah, this is pretty fair as a deal, if you ask me. If people stuff like Mortal Kombat, it would be a far different story.
Especially to
Yeah, especially too. So yeah, again, and the designs, the music on its own, like I said, it's surprising, thanks to Shimomura's work, despite it being completely original themes, it's not having to mix something from like a cartoon. It's to be completely original material, but it manages to work as an ambient, including, like I said, the fact that the final boss theme is much more, somber, more low key. And the art design manages to capture the comic book design without having to alter it. You don't really feel like this is an anime version of these characters, but just like the actual Western comic book put into a video game, which shows a level of respect despite being handled by completely different people. So that's pretty neat, actually. Which also is a staple for the other Marvel games. Again, maybe in the future I will start doing the Marvel Capcom games, but again, those require a bit more finesse and work, so we'll have to see about that. Maybe in the future I will do another one of the beat 'em ups, like Mutant Apocalypse, just for the sake of it. But this was just for an easy one to be done. So stay tuned for whatever happens next. See ya.
See you then.
Bye.